Welcome back to Sci-Fi Book Trek. This week we're covering the spoilers version of The Martian. Hope you enjoy. So, nitpicks first of all, or do you really want
Right,
to rip off into...
nitpicks. No, nitpicks. One, it's never fully explained how he finds Pathfinder. I mean, it says he's got the maps of the area just in case, like, they needed to land somewhere else. Which is fine, but it's like, he goes to it and he's like, right, I'm looking for some mountain ridges, like Twin Peaks. Oh, that's where it was, because that's the image it likes last. Like, Pathfinder happened, what, almost like 40 years before, like, before he was probably born. He's probably so he's got a memory which remembers the last Pathfinder image, and he can locate it.
Well, I mean, don't forget the Pathfinder would have still been controlled by not necessarily GPS, but it would have had geological tracking that the Martian surface. But yeah, that is a little bit of a push, the fact that Watney would be able to go, because they knew where it went down.
Oh yeah, NASA knew where it went down, but how did Watney know?
Historical documents. Yes, I completely
What, is
agree
he
with
watching
you.
Galaxy Quest now?
No.
But it's like, also that brings us on to another nitpick I had. Does Mark Watney not have his own personal USB? He goes through everyone else's, and he bitches constantly about fucking disco
Yeah,
and
but the
70s
fact
TV.
that...
But he doesn't. He seems to not have his own. What? Why not? Because like that help, like the stuff on the other people's USBs help to flesh out them a bit more.
The fact
And like
that Commander Lewis likes disco.
But like you got contacts from like when they fly by Earth, and like they're talking to relatives, and you got to at least get a sense of their personality and them as a person. You don't get that with Watney. It's like you could have had his USB with some stuff on. You could have had a letter from his mother. His parents do not like. They're showing us, oh, these two people in Chicago are watching the TV with a NASA representative by. That's it. It's like Watney doesn't send them a letter which you read. Like he sends everyone of the crew letters, but his parents don't get a letter, or like it's not published in the book. Like it's not shown because there's nothing to humanise Mark Watney for me, like there is with the other characters, and like they appear so little compared to him, but they are more rounded characters.
Yeah,
and also they come across as, I don't know, professionally trained astronauts. Mark Watney comes across as a fucking Yahoo. It's just, why is he even there? Like, forget about how like slapdash he is, how unprofessional he is, what an arsehole he is, and what like an accident waiting to happen he is.
In a truck flying off a ridge. Space asshole smashing through a bridge.
You're sticking him on a crew with 5 other people who's got to survive from Earth to Mars, spend a month on Mars, and then come back. That's like a year and a bit trip. I'm sorry, if I was in the like rocket going up to Hermes and I was trapped in the capsule with Mark Watney, I would be strangling him before the countdown had finished.
That's
He's
the thing.
annoying. He's like one of those people who have 3 jokes who keep repeating them because you're not laughing, so he thinks, oh, you're not getting it, so I have to tell you again. And he's just an infuriating oaf.
The thing is, it does make a point of the long-term psychological... They have long-term psychological tests where they're in isolation.
Yeah, I know. That's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, but it
How
says
did he
that
get
they
through it?
test... Yeah, but it says that they tested for people going through it, and Watney was the one that was actually keeping the rest of them sane. And that in actual
I
fact...
would have strangled him within 20 seconds.
Yeah, but I think...
I mean, maybe that's me, but...
Perhaps he's like, psychologically, he wouldn't agree with you. It wouldn't be a good mix.
It's just... He feels like one of those people who desperately tries to convince other people that he's cool.
Right.
You know, he desperately wants to be cool, but looked at cool by other people. So he desperately tries to get that. And like he doesn't know how to. So he's just trying to emulate stuff.
You don't think he's
And,
got
like-
a touch of the class clown?
No. Just because he talks about his, days when he's doing botany. And it's like, oh yeah, I didn't give much thought to the hippies because they just want to, grow and sell weed. It's like, if you were a class clown, you would know the hippies. You'd know everyone. You would be friends with everyone.
True. I mean...
So like, back then, he's sort of like, oh yeah, I took this seriously. I was a professional. To act like it throughout the book, at no point I thought, oh, he's a professional. Like, don't get me wrong, he knows a lot of stuff.
Well,
and he can bodge stuff together.
I mean, that brings me on
sometimes to go on to another nitpick, he seems to know how to do almost everything at any point.
He does seem, like you say, Gary Stu.
Yeah.
You've got Gary Stu, and then you've got Mark Watney somewhere over there, because
he
knows
an
astro.
He knows.
He's an astrobotanist.
Yeah.
And an engineer.
And like some of the things you could explain, but it feels like he's got such a massive, broad knowledge of the whole topic.
Yes.
Like botany alone is a massive topic. It feels like he knows everything about botany.
Mm. And there is a lot to be said about...
No, I mean, like...
What I'm saying is, there's a lot to be said about astronauts and astronauts needing to be extremely cream of the crop type people. But even then, Watney seems like he's probably better than the rest of his team.
Yeah. Or like he can pull stuff from his bum.
Yes.
Literally and figuratively. It's just like he makes a sextant.
Mm.
Like, oh yeah, I just made a sextant.
I know how to make this. I know how to make this specific thing work with Pathfinder wheels.
Yeah.
We use hexadecimal. It's like
he does feel like maybe Andy Weir's come up with a problem and then Googled how to solve the problem. And then Mark Watney suddenly knows how to do that way.
Mm. And I mean, there is an explanation, at least with the hexadecimal, that they say...
some of them... But like, you could have thrown in explanations for some of the others. Like, you could go, oh right, he knows how to make a sextant because, I don't know, maybe his dad taught him when he was on a camping trip or something. That would have been nice. That would have humanised him a bit more.
Mm.
Everything started to just pile on. And the thing is, when he's in contact with Natsa, this is another nitpick. he gets Pathfinder to take a picture. Well, one, he's got to draw a circle on the roof of the rover.
Mm.
He uses string and gaffer tapes like it to the roof with duct tape. Why don't you just use duct tape? Because I'm guessing duct tape's a different colour than the rover. And also, it's string. It's Pathfinder. The camera is not going to be great. So picking up some string on the roof of a rover.
The only thing I can think of is that perhaps he was trying to save his tape supplies. It's a fudge.
Yeah. That just annoyed me. It's just like, well, why use string at all when you probably can't see it? And also, like, oh, Pathfinder will take a picture of the roof. How? How short is this rover?
I mean, he has to get Pathfinder up onto the roof with a ramp that he builds out of
that's when he's transporting it, yeah. But when he set it up, it's on a little table. So how does it capture the roof? Even if it was up slightly higher, for me, it was just like, I don't understand how Pathfinder is taking a picture of the rover's roof. The side, yes. The roof, no. Satellite images from the roof, yes. Pathfinder, it was just a little nitpick.
Well, I've got a couple of nitpicks.
Yeah, you go over your nitpicks.
Because
Because I'm getting sick.
Yeah, so the original dust storm that causes the mission failure in the first place is a contrivance. The dust storms that on Mars, because the atmosphere is so much thinner, 100-mile-an-hour dust storm on Mars feels more like an 11-mile-an-hour wind on planet Earth. And admittedly, when I checked into this, Weir has no real answer for it, because it was literally I had to think of some way to get the plot moving, and that was the best way to do it.
I mean, also on that note, Watney gets injured at that point with a piece of metal shoved in him.
Yeah, piece of the antenna.
That, like, goes into and hits his hip. Don't worry, he pulls it out and he's fine.
I mean, it's
no complications whatsoever. He doesn't limp. Nothing.
It's actually worse in the film adaptation. I'm not even joking. Damon takes a fucking stapler and staples himself shut. So you'd be even more pissed off with that one.
Yeah, it's just like, there's no complications to anything, like any accident he does.
But he's doing surgery on himself.
I was going to say, the only complication is, like, halfway through he goes, oh, I've got a bit of backache, I'll rest today. That's about it.
And makes himself a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Look, right, so a major set piece in the book is the growing of potatoes.
Yes.
I do have an issue with this. I mean, I did a little bit of searching after the fact, and there is no reason that you couldn't grow potatoes. According to the experts, there is no reason you couldn't grow potatoes in that method. They reckon that it wouldn't be possible to get enough calories out of them to sustain Watney, but that's neither here nor there.
Is that because they wouldn't be dense enough?
It's not that... Well, calories...
I was thinking gravity-wise, like, it wouldn't compress. No, carry.
No, it's... they are the most calorie-dense. He does have options for beans, seeds, and other things that he could have used, but he chose potatoes because they were the most calorie-dense. But so that was his best option. My issue is that potatoes need an awful lot of sunlight, and he's growing them inside the hab. Now he's there as an astrobotanist. He is supposed to be there to do experiments and growing stuff within Martian soil to see how things work. But I can imagine his workspace is probably about the same size as this desk.
I would say small. Yeah.
So you would think he might have like a shelf unit where it's like, I'm going to grow beans,
Yeah.
I'm going to grow... And the potatoes...
It would be like a petri dish for each.
Yeah.
I would say.
But the potatoes are part of the Thanksgiving dinner. They're not even part of this idea. He's growing beans, he's growing seeds, he's growing like certain crops. But for that purpose, you would think he'd have a grow lamp. Right?
Mm.
The rest of the hab is going to be normal lighting.
Yeah.
And in order to make the entire hab into a potato farm, either that has got to be see-through, which I don't think that's mentioned at any point in the... Because you would still need lamps.
Yeah, you'd still need lamps.
Martian night.
Yeah. Well, also, the sun isn't that strong.
Yes, because it's further away from...
Yeah. Yeah, he's further away.
It is further away. It's the fifth planet.
I did.
Mercury, Venus, Earth. Fourth planet.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Okay, I didn't know.
But anyway, the idea that he would have to have grow lamps for the entirety of the hab floor that he's...
Well, I mean,
he wouldn't have access to that.
It's not just the hab floor, it's the pop-up tents as well.
Yeah.
Which also, I'm not sure, don't have heating of their own. Like, they're made to last for an hour or so.
I think he had them connected to the hab, and when they're connected to the main power, they're just running off the solar panels.
Fair enough, then, but still.
But yes, the pop-up tents, I don't think would have been see-through. They wouldn't have allowed the sunlight through. They would have required a grow lamp, like for each location.
Yeah.
I mean, he was putting them in the bunks, so it wasn't just the main area of the hab floor. So, yeah, like I say, he would have needed more grow lamps than a marijuana farmer. And
yeah, he doesn't even mention like I turned up the lights or anything like that.
No, and that's a little bit of a fudge. The fact that he's still able to water, I mean, even the ones in the pop-up tents, the fact that he's still able to water the ones out there is interesting. I would just love to see a design of these pop tents and how the justification for getting in and out of them and not losing the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in something like the hab, yeah, I know it's designed for long-term use. Well, it's not even designed for long-term use because that was the problem. Yeah. But the idea it would be not leaking atmosphere at all.
Yeah, but don't worry. By the end of like he's 400 days in the hab, he decides I want a bedroom on my trip when I'm going camping, so I'm just going to cut half of it off.
Yes. And then he sticks it together with epoxy.
It's like
characters. We've already touched on Watney himself. Do you want to go through some of the other characters?
Well, I mean, they're all minor characters. That's the problem. It all revolves around Watney.
Yeah.
Everyone else gets, I wouldn't say sidelined, but they are bit characters. They get names. Some of them are even more fleshed out than Watney. Especially, I would say, the crew. The crew up the Ares 3.
I would say Lewis gets the most fleshing out of them, but for me, you could,
I would
you could miss Beck. I'm sorry, but Chris Beck, I've just got. I don't remember him doing much other than the final EVA at the end.
Yeah.
There's little bits and pieces with Johansson and Martinez being an unofficial couple. Vogel, my notes are basically German.
Yes.
Can make a bomb out of anything.
Yeah.
It's like the idea that most of his training was how not to make a bomb out of everything. How to avoid making explosives in a high oxygen environment.
Meanwhile, Mark Watney skipped that day.
Yeah, and he's still probably a better chemist.
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, even... No, I won't go back to Mark Watney. Carry on.
No, I want to do that because adaptation, the actual film, right? One of my favourite lines in the book is, "I have turned the hab into a bomb." And that is not in the film, and that annoyed the shit out of me. It really did, because it's like his sudden realisation that it's like, oh, wait a minute, I don't breathe in all the oxygen. It's not 100%. It's not 100% oxygen usage.
He's not burning away all the hydrogen.
Yes, he's
That's
not burning away all the
because it's not a closed system. He's just like lighting a
splint,
a match, and it takes him so long to work out. There might be so much like escapes.
Yes, and the fact that he doesn't breathe in
It's like-
100% oxygen.
It's like, fair enough, he's not a chemist, but the problem is when he needs to do something with chemistry. Oh yeah, he knows the answer.
Mm.
He knows exactly how to do it.
Well, yeah.
Except for like specific way, which causes, the best line of the book. But yes, it does feel like sometimes he's a genius and he knows everything. Other times it feels like he's a guy in a shed, just bodging stuff together.
Mm.
And he doesn't know what Mark Watney is. Whether he's a bodger or a professional. I say professional, I say, a career person more. Because he's never a professional.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, for me, you could imagine Watney being professional when he's on the job, but when it's his own life at risk, and
he still comes across as like too much of a joker.
Well, that's where I think we disagree, because I still think that it's like working by the book. If it had been like him and someone else that had been left behind, if it had been the whole group had got left behind, he would have been deferring to Lewis as commander, and he would have been acting as a professional. The fact that he is on his own and the only person at risk is himself, it kind of brings out the... I wouldn't even say MacGyver, because I think MacGyver is actually more professional. But yeah, it's that whole thing of, well, if I do it and it doesn't work, I'm dead. But if I don't try, I'm dead anyway. So, do you know what I mean? It's almost like that. I mean, God knows what the psychology behind it is, because...
Yeah, but that annoyed me, especially when you go in contact with Earth and stuff. And it's like, all these people are desperately trying to save me. I've got my whole team trying to save me, and I keep fucking things up.
Yes.
Because it does feel a bit like a Groundhog Day, where he starts, I'm fucked, I'm going to die. Fix this situation. Yay, I'm a genius. Something explodes. I'm fucked, I'm going to die. Fixing stuff. Yay, I'm a genius. Something explodes. It just keeps going back in that cycle, and that just annoyed me.
I can see why you would get annoyed at the idea that as soon as he gets back in touch with Earth and they say, oh, we need to check all of this stuff, we need to make sure this is all working because everyone's dedicated now to making sure you come back from this alive, and his first reaction is, Bitch, I fucking know.
Yeah, like
I've been doing this for longer. I know what I'm doing. And it's like, Mark, chill, pal.
Yeah.
Space a song.
your overall view, you liked it, yes?
I enjoyed it.
Even with the nitpicks you said and everything.
Even with the
really
nitpicks,
like it.
I mean,
do you like it, really like it, or love it?
I like it. I will go back and read it on occasion.
Huh?
This is not something that I go back to like repeatedly, but I still enjoy watching. Well, I still enjoy reading about the adventures of Watney and his attempt to not die on Mars. Repeatedly not die on Mars. But yeah, I don't have the issues with the character that you do, and so my complaints about the book are probably going to be glossed over with the fact that I don't,
Which is fair, yeah. Because, for me, I just did not gel with Mark Watney, most of the books with him, so it felt like the book just dragged for me. I do not feel it needs to be as big as it is, but that's because I don't like Mark Watney. And, yeah. So, all the other bits without Mark Watney, I kind of liked. But there's so much of Watney that I did not like the book overall. And I probably would never ever read it again.
Fair enough. With mind to adaptation, would you watch the film? There's a few changes from the film to the.
If it was on and I had nothing else to do, maybe. Or I probably wouldn't go out my way to watch.
Fair enough.
I haven't watched it yet. And I don't think I will be watching it anytime in the future.
Fair enough. Thanks for joining us again, guys. Join us next week when we will be tackling
a new book. Well, newish. Philip K. Dick's A Maze of Death. Ooh. I felt he could use a little dick in his life.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thank you for joining us.
See you next time.
Just say toodles. No, it's just. Oh my god, he's a god little tosspot who just wants to be punched in the face constantly because he doesn't learn any of his stupidity. He's a asshole.